Happy Monday, everyone. Welcome to the Power Divination for the week of December 23rd through the 29th of 2019, with a little special holiday edition here as we will be navigating the holiday of Christmas this week. So let us jump right in to sharing the screen, looking at the sidereal astrology for this week. All right, so here we have Monday's chart on the screen. Now, the biggest thing that we want to talk about this week is this major shift that I know I've personally been ready for, and I'm sure a lot of us have been as well, where the nodes have moved out of the 6th, 12th house axis where they have been since October of 2018. What that axis was about was deep and profound physical, mental, emotional, spiritual healing. And that healing often comes through a crisis of sorts that really pushes the edges of what we feel we can hold in order to come fully into our bodies and heal all the delusions that have kept us disembodied. So this shift from 6th north node into 5th house, from south node 12th house into 11th house, we are going to be shifting into a dynamic where our south node energy here collectively is holding this energy of community, right? Of, in the 11th house, we network, we build our tribe, we connect with others, we support each other, and community is really the foundation of what we deem as most valuable. Now, with this energy being south node here, this is where we can get stuck in patterns that are not serving us to keep moving forward. Now, there are two paths of shifting from a south node into north node. That first path being the shift that is made through karma, through feeling stuck in our south node, from being like, no, it's so comfortable and it's easy and it's effortless for me to hang out in the south node. It's easy for me to be in tribe and in community and really celebrating that. And I don't want to go out on my own and do things on my own, which would be the energy of the north node 5th house. And karma will come around and it will create big changes in one's life where there is no other option than to move forward into the north node. The second path of shifting from south node into north node is the path of grace. And the grace path awakens through embodying the highest expression of the energy of the south node, so that the gates, the doorway of the north node naturally opens and the south node ushers us into our north node. So to be on that path of grace with the south node in the 11th house is really understanding how to collaborate and connect and be in a community that supports each other, whilst doing it from a space of not sacrificing yourself in any way, not, complying to the needs and wants of the collective, and in order to do so, sacrificing or compromising your truth, your self-expression, your vision, your goals, your dreams. Because ultimately, we're moving into this 5th house energy, and we'll be traveling through this placement for a little over a year. With the north node, our direction, our focus collectively this coming year being this 5th house energy, it's really a time of, self-pleasure and self-acknowledgement, and really coming back to oneself and getting really clear on what is important to me. What am I inspired by? What am I passionate about? What turns me on and excites me? What creates pleasure in my body and in my relationships and in my connection to innocence and play and, the childlike wonder of humanity? And it's really a time where our creativity is coming online, and the universe is saying, okay, we've gone through this decade of profound remembrance and growth that wrapped up in 2019 with like deep healing. Any last thread of the ego that was holding on to the old paradigm was stripped away this year, 2019, and albeit very challenging and painful ways. And now, as we move into a new decade, into a new energy, the North Node comes into the fifth house and says, hey, now it's time to create. Now it's time for the creative genius within you to come online and to be given permission to play and to create things that are not only going to benefit the community, that are also going to benefit you and your growth. So it's no longer playing it safe. It's no longer typing up a post that feels raw and empowered and expressive and true, and then not posting it because it's going to trigger the collective. It's going to push people's buttons or upset certain people. That dynamic is done. We will likely see, and I'll predict this, a big change to social media in this transit, which is a little over a year long, where how we relate to each other on social media changes, where potentially policies and we see platforms dissolve and new social platforms that are supportive of the individual intelligence and genius to be shared in a way that actually supports the individual abundance nature of our experience, where we're no longer just sharing and draining our energy and draining and wasting a lot of our time and resources on social media in a way that does not provide for ourselves. Ultimately, the 5th, 11th house shows us that our community is only as strong as each individual being. So if there are individuals in the community that are still in training in victimhood, in scarcity, in, inequality of energy exchange, where it's absorbing all the information, wanting everything for free, knowing that they are taking energy from someone else and not giving anything in return. Those types of dynamics ultimately hinder the growth of the community. So we're in this time shifting into a more, we could call it selfish, though it's not selfish from a disempowered or shadow space. It's as my needs become fulfilled and I tap into my creative genius, I get to give more to the collective. And I'm giving from a space that's no longer disempowered or lacking pleasure or lacking authenticity or lacking truth. That ultimately will transform how we have been collaborating with each other, celebrating with each other in community. And ultimately, the biggest shift is the dissolution of the individual tribes, the individual groups. There has been a lot of focus on build your tribe. And ultimately, what that does is it still keeps people separate, because that tribal mentality is based on survival. So what we do as we awaken and empower ourselves, we can collaborate with anyone. It doesn't matter who they are, where they come from, what their background is. We can come together and support each other and actually realize our collective unity. So big shift in energy. Your body might start to feel healthier, clearer. You might start to have more vitality. Some of the little things that might have been showing up the last 13, 14 months might start to be resolved now as we move into a time of really, okay, now we saw deeply what in our bodies has been waiting for us to go deeper, to heal more. So now we direct our focus towards that, towards the ultimate pleasure of being alive, and no longer compromising ourselves in any way that could create dis-ease in our body, mind, or spirit. So that's the biggest thing that's happening in the astrological wheel right now this week. And that's going to be with us for a while. So we're just coming into it. We're just shifting out of the 6th, 12th house. So we're in that wobbly period where we're in the void. We're in between. We're still wrapping up stories and things from that journey through the 6th, 12th house and starting to like wipe our eyes and clear the fog of everything that we learned and stepping into this new period of not only a brand new decade, a brand new cycle of our purpose and what is being healed through our nodal axis. Now, this week, we also have some stellium action here in the 11th house. Remember, stellium is anytime we have 4 or more planets in the same house or sign. We are also working with a stellium in Sagittarius with the Sun, Jupiter, South Node, Saturn, Pluto, all in Sagittarius right now. Now, with this 11th house stellium, this can create a tendency of like needing to be everyone's friend. It can also be this ambition that is felt, and an addiction to social media, and using social media as actually a way to disassociate from real life, from what's happening right in front of you. And we'll see when we get to the human design that there is some potential for some resistance in the field, especially in our family dynamics, especially if you're traveling and doing holiday things, spending time with family. And there are areas that you still get triggered in family. And we're going to talk about that when we get into the human design, ways to really support yourself this week, to not fall into certain patterns, to actually spiral up and out of certain patterns at a familial level. So with that being said, be very mindful about any tendency to want to escape what's happening in real life by spending lots of time on social media. It can be a great time to actually do a little social media detox, because we ultimately experience the fullness of a stellium by going into the opposite house. By going into the opposite house, which would be here, the 5th house, your own pleasure, your own relationships and connection to self, and experiencing the children that are in your life, if there are children in your family, spending more time with them, getting offline and connecting to the people who are in real life in front of you this week. We're also going to be in a space where you might feel torn this week around pleasing other people and what they want. You know, being in a space where you're constantly thinking about everyone else and what they're going to think or what they're going to feel or if they're going to be pleased, like being a people pleaser while compromising your own desires, your own wants, right? There is a space that we can reach in our heart where everyone has their desires met. And everyone is able to not compromise, but to just meet each other and accept each other exactly as we are. So be really mindful of any tendencies like this that might show up this week, because ultimately those tendencies are going to slow down the process that wants to happen right now, which is a massive up-leveling of our relationships to our family and our community. One other thing that wants to be shared in the zodiac right now is this this energy that we're working with, 6 through 9 through 13 degrees of Sagittarius. Now, these degrees of Sagittarius are very light and very playful energy that can have a tendency to get very disembodied and very ungrounded. So be very wise to watch out for those tendencies of disassociating from this earthly plane, wanting to just tap out and not deal with it, and really just come down into your body and let that playful light energy really be felt through you, through your body, and realized as, vision and dream and potential and possibility that can open up for you this week. We'll just pop on the transits, see where the planets are going to be at the end of the week. The end of the week, we're shifting this energy into the moon and Venus being in the first house, coming into the new energy, and this energy is very light, very playful. We'll see this also in the human design as we move into Sunday. We're going to get a surge of joy and love and enthusiasm, which I know we will all want to be in that energy to really usher in the new year from this frequency of possibility and potential. So with that being said, let's hold that as we shift into looking at what's happening in the human design and gene key this week. Okay, here we are, Monday, today, right angle cross of the vessel of love. So if you watched last week's video, Saturday, Sunday, we began this energy of the vessel of love. You might be feeling this, connection to this desire to just be in a very pure and heart-centered space, where you might also be experiencing, though, this feeling of, things not being that way. And if things are not feeling love and light, this energy can, feel pretty down. So always remember that your perspective, whether you're in just recognizing and choosing to see love in everything, or you're getting stuck in the story of suffering in any way, to shift that perspective, to recognize that your vibration encourages the perspective lens that you're seeing reality through. Now, we're in the projector energy on Monday. We're also in the projector energy a few other days this week. Remember, when we're moving with collective projector energies, that it is a time to really be inward and tapping in and waiting to be invited and sharing from a space where people are really open to recognizing you, because sharing out of that space could potentially lead to feeling bitter if you're a projector, or unsatisfied or frustrated, these different dynamics if you are working with the other energy types. Now, since we went over the full cross and the genes within this cross in last week's energy report, Power Divination, which you can go back and watch, we're going to move forward into Tuesday, Wednesday. We have several shifts in energy this week happening. So we're going to move in on Tuesday and Wednesday into the cross of prevention. Tuesday, Wednesday. Thursday, Friday, we move into the cross of service. And on Sunday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we're in the cross of service. On Sunday is when we move into the cross of vitality. So let's go back and look at all of this. What does it mean? How does it show up in my life? What can I do to best realize this energy and support myself through this journey? So when we're working with this cross of prevention, it's an energy that can really lead people to saying things that you don't want to hear, or that other people don't want to hear. And it can end up creating a dynamic where you're either shutting down someone's vision, or the people around you are shutting down your vision, because ultimately they just don't understand the vision. It doesn't fit inside of their box, or they see it as unsafe because it's out of the context of what they have identified as this means safety in the world, create this and you'll be safe. So being that on these days, a lot of us are going to be with family because it is a major holiday where people are coming together, where families come together, and a lot of times things that are unresolved in these family dynamics come to the surface. And a lot of you who will be watching this, I know, will have this feeling where like you're not necessarily sure of how to be your true self around your family because you started to awaken your truth, your cosmic heritage, your starseed essence, whatever you want to call it, the bigger picture of who you are, where you come from, and why you're here. And from that space, you're no longer wanting to conform to all the boxes that society put you in. So within this energy being very present for us collectively, and also being in a space where that energy can be triggered anyways, this is a time when you'll be wise to watch any tendency within yourself to tell someone else how to do something, right? In your family dynamics, in your relationships, in your experiences on Tuesday, Wednesday, the best advice that could be shared is to keep your opinions to yourself unless people invite you to share them, right? And also staying clear of any "I told you so" energy, either saying it or hearing it, receiving anyone in your life saying "I told you so" to you. Because this is all this energy of this incarnation cross of prevention, which is ultimately a cross that is, seeing things and wanting to prevent a misuse of energy, a misuse of time, potential mistakes, or getting involved in things that would be unsafe. That being said, it operates from its own perspective on what is safe, what is a good use of energy, what is a good use of time. And the people that might be around you might not be sharing the same values and views and beliefs of the world. So, practicing waiting to be invited to share your opinion, also keeping your visions and your dreams and what you're working on really close to your heart, and only sharing them with those members of your family or your community who are at the same vibration and can truly hear your vision without adding in their own opinion of it. You will fare far better off during this time by staying in your own lane and not getting involved or sucked into any family drama or debates unless you are invited to share your perspective. And even then, be really sure that the people are open to receiving it. Or you might just get swept into the argument for argument's sake, which will end up being a recapitulation of patterns that have likely been going on in your family and your community dynamics for a very long time. With this cross, with this energy, it's very important to have clear boundaries, especially in your relationships, as this energy makes it very easy for people to find reasons to not do something. Right? These boundaries are essential because, if you go and share your vision or your dream or what you're creating, and then you get this feedback of all these reasons why it's not going to work, of all these reasons why you should be doing this and not that, right? All the reasons to not do that thing that you're so passionate about, you might leave this holiday season feeling unsupported and disempowered, which is not the energy that you want to be stepping into the new year. So remember that this energy is present in the collective over this holiday, specifically Tuesday and Wednesday, which is the day of the Christ Mass. So be in that space where you are having boundaries to ensure that you're not receiving anyone's doubt or giving anyone doubt. Because ultimately, any of that doubt is fed on someone else's shadow vision of what's possible. And you want to really keep your vision in your heart held secure. one of the keys to navigating specifically Wednesday, Tuesday, is to activate this energy here. Let's zoom in on the body graph of the gate 57 and 10. This energy is going to be very, very helpful for you to tap into. As you'll see, this channel, the channel of survival 5710, has the capacity to deeply love yourself, to stay true to yourself, to not conform to the environment. Staying true to yourself with this energy, even though it might come off as selfish, right? Like you're in your family, you're having your celebrations, and you don't want to get involved in certain dynamics or respond from old shadow patterns, and you decide, hey, you know what? I'm not going to partake in this, and it's seen as selfish or whatever it is. Know that the energy of this channel, it is actually through staying true to yourself, being true to yourself, even if that means not conforming and getting involved with what's happening in the environment. It actually brings and leaves the environment healthier and more beautiful. So a big thing that I often hear people say during this time when they're going back to be with family is, how do I stay true to myself when I don't feel like anyone in my family gets me, or we're just not on the same wavelength? And they end up going into patterns of conforming back to this old version of themselves to just fit in. Ultimately, recognize that conforming, going back to old patterns, it not only doesn't serve you, it doesn't serve the family dynamic. Because when you go in and you embody this energy of this channel of survival 5710, that allows for us to truly step into our truth and live authentically as ourselves, being that in that environment, even if you're the odd one out, it does bring about healing to the environment, because that energy will be felt and it will activate everyone's codes in that space to leave the space more beautiful than if you were to conform and go back into these old patterns. Now, the human aurora is a system that I downloaded from the elemental kingdoms, from the trees and the plants, that works with specific plant essences and energies of these plants and trees that have already gone through activating certain genes. So every gene in our 64 genome exists in different animals and plants and trees in our environment. Now, all 64 aren't in every single other creature. That being said, all 64 of them do exist in different plants and animals. And different plants and animals have activated the higher gift and acidic frequencies of these genes. So to support you in cultivating the energy of this 5710 channel, you can work with the energy of myrrh to activate the whole channel. 5710 is activated by the essence of myrrh that has awakened the highest frequency of this channel. If you want to be activating that 57, which is your intuitive insight and clarity for how to be yourself, you can use the energy and essence of Hawaiian sandalwood. And if you are wanting to activate more of the love of oneself that comes from the 10th gene in that channel, the energy and essence of bergamot can be really supportive. So that's myrrh, Hawaiian sandalwood, and bergamot can be your allies Tuesday, Wednesday of navigating and staying true to yourself throughout this holiday season. With that being said, let us share back on the screen and move forward into Thursday. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, we are in the energy of the cross of service. Now, with this cross, We are within a path of being of service to the benevolence and the perfection of society, right? It's all about service as the way forward, allowing your type and authority and strategy to inform you throughout Thursday, Friday, Saturday for how you apply your service, be in service to the whole. Now, there are a couple of pieces of deeper awareness to this cross. One is the tendency to only see the problems, becoming overly critical. And this space of overt criticism is off-putting to others, as I'm sure you would likely assume that. And it can result in a loss of support that you will need in order to implement the necessary improvements you are here to bring to society, to be in service to the collective experience. What happens when this support is no longer found is that this cross can have this mentality of, I just have to go out and do it on my own, and goes and actually depletes all of its energy trying to achieve something by yourself. What a team is designed to do is to be in that space where you're not going at it alone. So having support is essential. Keeping that support means biting your tongue around having an opinion, the shadow energy, which we'll talk about in a moment, and being overly critical. Realizing that it's not always your situation to improve, right? Staying in your own lane is a big theme this week, because this will allow you to position yourself in spaces that you are supporting and serving what is in alignment with your vision. It's super important to be clear in this and to be aware of the tendency to want to just get involved and be in service to things that aren't necessarily your conversations to be involved with. With that being said, Thursday through Saturday is a really great time to tap into what your service in the world is. Now, if you have gone through the embodied wholeness journey, connecting to your 7 fractals of human existence, there is an 8th fractal that is coming online for us right now as we evolve, and it is the fractal of environment as an intimate part of each of our individual human experiences. And what this fractal coming online is, beckoning, is it's calling us all to devote to some aspect of the environment to serve, some cause to stand for, that supports the ecosystem of life to move forward in a way that we will all thrive. So spending some time on what you really want to stand for in the new year. Not only your individual passion projects and businesses and soul purpose, but the deeper environmental impact that you want to be a part of. Really giving that some thought over these few days and making choices that are aligned with that intention for the new year will be incredibly beneficial as you move through Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Now, we're still in that projector energy on Thursday as we are Wednesday, and we have a wide opening in our body graph. This week, there is a lot of splenic and root energy happening, a lot of pressure happening, a lot of intuition inspiring that pressure. What ultimately is the result of this much root energy, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 centers in the root, 6 genes or gates in the root center. Let's see, this is going on. We have these gates here on Monday today, but the center is not defined. It's not connected to any of the other centers that would create this definition here. That pressure is still there though. Tuesday, still there. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. All week long, we are in 6 centers in our root space defined. The root and the crown are pressure centers. They pressure us to evolve. The crown being a mental pressure, and the root being a physiological pressure that is felt in like, I have to evolve right now. I have to do this right now. We got to push, we got to grow, we got to change, we got to keep going, because if we don't evolve, we will dissolve. How this pressure of the root center could be felt is in depression. So if you feel a little funky during this time, a little dense, a little heavy, a little depressed, get really clear on what area of your life that pressure is really being felt. Is that, think of it, depression, it's a pressing on. It is illuminating what area of our life we must evolve in order to keep growing. So you might be feeling that. Instead of falling into, I'm depressed, I don't feel good, I'm sad, I'm this, I'm that, things aren't working, into the victim mind, say, okay, I feel this pressure. What area of my life is triggering this? Is it my finances? Is it my relationship? Is it my family? Is it my health, my mind, my connection to God and source and spirit, and whatever language you use to connect to the creative aspect of your essence? Where is that pressure? Because that is the area of your life that you can grow through. So this energy is happening all week long. Now, another important dynamic that we're working with, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, is this Sun in the 18th gene, Earth in the 17th gene. Now, with this dynamic, the 18th unconscious sun, this is our radiance. This is the gifts that we get to realize through the challenges and everything that we grow through, this pressure that we grow through this week, staying in our own lane, choosing to be ourselves. Now, if we zoom in here, we see 18 is down here in the splenic center. Now, the splenic center is the seat of fear. And the fear of the 18th gate is that nothing will ever be perfect and nothing will ever go right. And it's through witnessing this belief pattern and remembering that everything is perfect, that there is no right or wrong way to go, will be essential to realizing the gifts that can be realized this week. This is a projected gate, so the energy must be recognized and called on by others. It's an intuitive knowing at the gift frequency of how to bring things into a greater perfected alignment with the wisdom of this gate when it is invited to share its knowledge. Now, gene 18 is the healing power of the mind. We'll see when we click on here, it's the Buddhahood. It's the perfected form, the Buddha state of the eternal child, and the energy to find new horizons and avoid stasis, potential to perfect form through correction, through seeing everything as perfect, everything as serving. So we're continuing to turn the volume, adjust the frequency to find the perfected form. Now, the shadow of this gene is judgment. It is in the channel of judgment, 1858. The gift is integrity, and the siddhi is perfection. We can see that judgment holds very disempowering frequencies, while integrity, the gift, holds empowering ones. And these are the keys within this 18th gene. The victim mind is that accumulation of the defeating, judgmental, and insecure thoughts that make up the mind's typical day. Where the victim mind is a collective fear-based frequency. Being in victim mind is allowing the collective negative thought patterns to dictate the state of your own mind. Within the victim mind, there's the gossip and the complaint and the worry and the judgment, and playing into these dynamics with other humans continues to keep the mind entrained to this victim frequency and to its our individual choice to actually stay in that collective mind. Now, something to be aware of as far as our neurology and our brain is concerned is that there actually have been studies done that have shown that our limbic system entrains to the limbic system of those who we are around. And the limbic system is holding onto memories that shape our beliefs. And that means that if you are around people who are constantly complaining and hating their job and stressing about money and, gossiping with other people, that when you're around that, your limbic system entrains to that. And unless you stay conscious and aware and pull yourself out of that dynamic and don't go in and conform to gossiping about others, to falling in and judging the drunk uncle who knocked over the Christmas tree or whatever it is that the dynamic of the people around want to gossip and fall into, right? The 18th shadow is also about a need to be right and to defend one's opinions. And to truly transcend this shadow is to loosen up your own beliefs and identity and the need to be right. The question that is important to ask that comes from the gene key text itself is, and I quote, "Would I rather be right or happy?" From Richard Rudd in the Gene Keys text. How seriously are you taking your own judgments? If you feel any need to defend yourself, check yourself, because this is operating from the victim mind. And it keeps us in dynamics of struggle. A key to rising into the gift, the radiance that we can receive through this week, this energy with us Tuesday through Saturday, is to realize that everything external in your life is mirroring your internal process and is only showing up now because it is ready to be resolved. That is the most important part. It is showing up now because it's ready to be resolved. The judgments are actually within and being identified with. You're not here to identify with the mind. Thus, the judgment is showing up again as an opportunity to release the pattern of identification with said judgment, said belief, said opinion. The 18th gene is also dealing with our developmental cycle of the ages of 14 through 21. What a great time for us to be with family who we were likely living with during part of this cycle. It is a time when we're developing our own differentiation, our own style, our own opinions, our own beliefs. And it has a lot to do with how our parents show up in allowing us to explore our own world. It is also a time of healing the first two cycles that usher us into this adulthood. And whether or not we integrate into adulthood with full integrity or as a wounded child. Integrity is far more than holding on to one's own values. It's a space of material structure and foundation upon which our immune system functions in its height and strength and health. Many people who have unresolved childhood traumas wind up with chronic disease in their bodies due to this foundation of integrity not being established within that third 7-year cycle. The study by Kaiser Dunn showed that children with trauma that has gone unintegrated have an 80-something% more chance of risk of chronic health disease, heart disease, and stroke. This is very serious. Healing this dynamic is healing childhood trauma. Childhood trauma is what is most often triggered around family. Recognizing this dynamic, recognizing the patterns that show up, no longer defending yourself, no longer conforming, no longer playing into these wounded child patterns with your family, with your parents, with your siblings, with your community. Becoming completely free from the trapped energy that keeps you in this victim mind, conforming to the fear-based ideologies. You become free to embody integrity and a solid foundation for which your life to grow, for which your immune system to come online, for your health to improve, and pleasure to be known. What a beautiful truth that the 18th gene not only deals with childhood trauma, and when this gene is defined in someone's personal body graph, it often means a life of continuing to do deep childhood trauma healing. That through that process, through experiencing trauma in childhood, one can realize their Buddha nature, to reach the state of Buddhahood in this life. Hopefully that will serve to reframe any victimhood around potential trauma that has been experienced in childhood that may get triggered to be healed. Remember, it only comes up when it is ready to be healed. It will not come up a moment before. So if things are coming up, if stories are coming up, if patterns are coming up, they are coming up because they are ready to be healed. With that being said, the other energy we were with all week, Tuesday through Saturday unconsciously, is Gene 17 up here in the Ajna Center. The earth unconsciously is the deeper purpose for the week. And this gene allows for a correction of patterns over time. Right? These patterns of wounded childhood trauma continuing to move into our adulthood. These types of patterns can be corrected this week. It is also through this gene that we launch new ideas that are yet to be proven, and it gives us the ability to prove our ideas. Without proof, our ideas are otherwise just opinions. This is also a projected gate, which means that it must be recognized. Without recognition, opinions are just ideas. Without recognition, opinions are energetically repelling, which means if people don't ask you for your opinion and you project it into their world, it will likely be repelled. Waiting to be invited is the key purpose this week, to share your ideas with people who can actually receive and hold that idea and recognize you for it. The shadow of this gene is opinion. The gift is far-sightedness, and the siddhi is omniscience. The shadow of opinion is really the result of closing our third eye, closing our Ajna center. and it corresponds with the left hemisphere of the brain, and it deals with pattern recognition and the basis of logic. It's like needing to find the answers through the mind and then project those answers into the outer world. An opinion is a program that's designed to look for the flaws in the world, in society, in others, and in oneself. The flaw then is the seed for an entire belief system to be put in place around that flaw. There is a healthy expression of opinion that comes from using both the left and right hemispheres of the brain to not only look at the parts and judge the flaw, to see how the whole picture weaves together, to see how that flaw might actually be serving a greater whole. The key is to play and to not become so serious about your opinions that keeps you in that defense mode. Again, I will express the importance of being so wise about any feeling of needing to defend yourself this week. You never need to defend yourself to anyone. Any defense is a response of victimhood, and it keeps us in separation, in opinion, and in comparison. The gift that we can realize collectively this week through the 17th gene working its way through our unconscious earth is the gift of being able to look at life directly through the heart. The gift to see universally our oneness. And through that gift, we are able to be farsighted, which is the ability to see the future. To see the divine mathematics of the whole, how all parts are coming together to organize a new human civilization that can emerge through us engaging through our heart. Now, as we move into Sunday, we move out of that energy and into the juxtaposition cross of vitality. This is a surge of contagious joy that will likely be very much received by everyone this week, especially if triggers come up and healing emerges and patterns are shattered and new life emerges, which means it could be a challenging week. At the end of the week, we're going to get a great surge of joy, which we will all be ready for. And this energy is a choice. You can choose to tap into the energy of this cross earlier in the week as we come into Thursday with the 5852. The thing about the juxtaposition cross of vitality is that it is a choice to see the joy, and the choice is made at the beginning of something. So if you take just a moment every morning of this week to align yourself with all there is to celebrate, all there is to be grateful for, and all there is to anticipate in your day, you will be able to navigate through this week with so much more grace and ease, and you will get to Sunday feeling so fulfilled, feeling alive, feeling ready to take on this new year with exuberance. So choose every morning of this week to just take even just 2 minutes to align with all there is to celebrate, all there is to be grateful for, and all that you are anticipating going well and abundantly and joyfully. Seeing resolutions to ancestral cycles, seeing healing to deep pain, seeing resolution to suffering, and choosing to be grateful for it all. will allow us to move into 2020 with vitality and joy. What an incredible energy. The energy that we move into January 1st is the energy that we will live through in the new year. I will share more about this cross in the Power Divination for next week. That will be bringing us into 2020. With that being said, I hope that you use this information to inform yourself, to make decisions and choices that will not only serve your highest and best, will serve the highest and best of everyone around you through you simply making a choice that serves your highest and best. If you enjoy these videos, they are new. Support the Power Divination by subscribing to this page, by sharing this video on your social media platforms, tagging friends in it, supporting these messages to expand through the collective so that we can all better navigate the energy and use our lives to create the masterpiece of our mystic experience. I am Ahaumna, the founder of Destiny Mapping and the Power Divination. If you want to check out anything that I have going on right now in the world, you can check out rememberwhyyou'rehere.com. And again, before you leave, remember to subscribe, and I will see you all next Monday for next week's Power Divination that will lead us into 2020. Hope that you all have a beautiful holiday week. However you celebrate, may it be filled with joy and healing and growth. So much love to you all. Until next week, bye.